Welcome to the FX Options Weekly Outlook, a weekly podcast series hosted by Jason Ayres, a top instructor, trader, and founder of OptionSource.net. Join Jason as he discusses the latest trends in the Forex market with a look ahead on the US dollar versus the major currencies using the most commonly used technical indicators.
Well, hi there and welcome to the ISC FX Options Weekly Outlook for November 22nd, 2010. As always, this is Jason Ayres of OptionSource.net. Let's take a look at a weekly chart of the U.S. dollar index. Well, the dollar index now hovers above the 78 support level. Failure to hold this level opens the window for a drop back down to test 76.77. However, a break above 79 is likely to follow through with a test of the 80.81 focal zone. Now, the daily chart reflects the end of the week retracement lower. Last Friday's candle shows some indecision. A bullish reversal candle within the 78, 78.5 range lends credibility to a move towards 80.81. Next up, the CDD, the U.S. versus the Canadian dollar. Well, the CDD hit our 102, 103 focal zone before retracing back down off of the high. Support at 101.5, 102 lends credibility to a push towards 104. Let's take a look at the YUK, the U.S. versus the Japanese yen. Well, the U.S. dollar gained considerable ground against the yen as the YUK tests 83, 83.5 for resistance. Now, a break above 83.5 is likely to push towards this 85 focal zone. However, we are open to the idea of a retracement as low as 82, 82.5 after such a significant move. Let's take a look at the EUI, the U.S. versus the Euro. Well, the EUI rallied early in the week but closed Friday's session back down at 73. We may see a test of support within our 72, 72.5 focal zone. However, support at this level should yield a move towards 75. Next up, the BPX, the U.S. versus the British pound. Well, the BPX continues to consolidate within the 62, 62.5 range. Failure to hold 62 opens the window for a continuation of the downtrend. A bounce is likely to retest resistance within the 63, 63.5 range. Let's take a look at the AUX, the U.S. versus the Australian dollar. Well, the AUX is testing support at 100, 101 focal zone after a push higher early last week. A break above 101.5 is likely to follow through towards 104. Let's take a look at a few of our key points. First of all, the U.S. dollar index moved higher early in the week, but closed the week with a pullback to test 78 as support. Consolidation above this level opens the window for further U.S. dollar strengthening against most of the major currencies. The CDD hit our 102, 103 resistance and pulled back. Consolidation above 101.5 is likely to follow through with a move towards 103.5, 104. The YUK gained significant ground, hitting our 83, 83.5 target. We are likely to see a pullback, which could test 82, 82.5. A break above 83.5 opens the window for a push to 85. The EUI pushed higher early last week, but closed off of the high, slipping back to test 72.5 for support. A bounce this week should extend towards 75. The BPX continues to consolidate within the 62, 62.5 focal zone. The trend remains down. A break above 62.5 opens the window for a push higher. The AUX came close to 103 before reversing to test 101 for support towards the end of last week. A break above 101.5 is likely to retest resistance at 103, 104. And this has been your ISC FX Options Weekly Outlook for November 22nd, 2010. As always, this is Jason Ayres of OptionSource.net. Thanks for joining me here this week. We'll see you here next week.
Thank you for participating in this week's session. Please join us again next week. For trading ideas, exchange rates, webinars, news, and commentary, visit www.fxoptions.com. Become an OptionSource.net member. Visit www.optionsource.net. ISE FX options can be easily traded through all options-enabled brokerage accounts. These exchange-listed securities are cash-settled in U.S. dollars and have a European-style exercise.